So you're a surgical engineer. Does that mean that if you don't have the right pieces to fix somebody, you just improvise? What happens if somebody gets injured at the pop factory? Does the hospital call for Dr. Pepper? I don't think he likes my humor. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And we're going to take a look at the latest Studio 86 find for Devastator. They've released the torso guys, Hook and Long Haul, in one box together. But with how I want to review and cover them, we're going to do them as two separate reviews. So for this round, we're going to take a look at Hook. And for those of you who have been seeing a fair amount of the videos that we've done on the Constructicons, we will also take a look at his original toy. And as an added bonus follow-up to it, we also have the Generation 2 release, who for some reason can't keep his head up. So the original Hook, this one right here, Generation 1, he came out in 1985. The Generation 2 version came out in 1992. And then, of course, this Hook came out in 2025. Hook serves as the team's surgical engineer and defaultly is also the second in command of the team. He is depicted as the smartest member of the team, but he also is an extreme perfectionist. Everything he does has to be perfect. There is no room for fault or error in Hook's mind, which is a lot of the reason that Megatron overlooked Hook for leadership of the Constructicons. He went ahead and gave that distinction to Scrapper, due to the fact that Scrapper's modesty would also keep him in line with Megatron's plans. Whereas he feared that Hook, with his perfectionism, he would try to outwit the plans or not follow them through to what Megatron wanted. Anyway, I joke a little bit about Hook's perfectionism, but apparently, from some way some of the lore reads, Hook has been known to take 20 minutes or more to do the most simple of tasks. Basically, if you told him to take a rock from one spot and put it in another spot, it would take him a long period of time because he would want it to be perfect. When all you're really doing is you're just moving a rock. Alright, let's start by, we'll take a look at the original and the G2, since they're both pretty much the same. They use the same mold. As you can see, the original was done in the iconic green and purple colors. Hasbro apparently decided on that due to the fact they wanted the Constructicons to stand out. So they gave them garish colors. Whereas the G2 versions were colored more traditionally of construction vehicles. They all had yellow instead of green. And if you're that shy, Hook, we're not going to fight with it. Now there is a second version of the Generation 2 that were done in orange, and those were KB exclusive. But I unfortunately do not have those. I know I probably saw them from my younger days, because I did have a KB Toys in the mall near my home, and I did spend a lot of time there. But since they're basically the same mold, I can show you things from the one. Articulation-wise, Hook basically only had, you could rotate his arms. That was it. And it's a little hard to do on my G1 version because, as you can imagine, he's got a lot of playwear. I mean, The biggest thing on that is the hook on his crane has long been broken off on mine. But I will show it you the G2 version. You can see what the hook looks like. I've wanted to replace my hook, but I've not been able to find one at a price that I'm willing to pay to get it. Alright, original hook had 3 accessories, starting with his laser pistol. As you can see, his laser pistol has a scope on the top of it, so that makes it kind of interesting and unique. And the mold was also used to make the second one. There's not really much of a difference between the G1 and the G2 versions, so I don't think you'll be in any trouble if you mix them up, or at least there's no difference coming through on the camera. Then famously, since Hook forms the head and shoulders, he comes with the head of Devastator, which it also folds up and down due to the way it's set up. Here's the Generation 2 version, and as you can see, the biggest difference is the color of the purple plastic. The Generation 1's is a bit darker than the Generation 2. And then, of course, lastly, there's this cranial laser cannon. The G1, of course, was in the green, and the G2 in yellow. And that pretty much covers what sort of things they came with. Okay, to transform Hook, it's a simple process. We'll fold his arms in at the sides and fold his head down. Extend his body out so that way we have enough clearance to fold his legs in and then fold them back in like so. And then there you have Hook in his construction crane form, which apparently is based on the Nissan Diesel Unic K160B truck crane. And of course, the rear section can be rotated all the way, and the crane can be raised and lowered, and it also can be extended out so far. And since the Generation 2 is the exact same mold, it also has the exact same features. And of course, since it has the full crane hook, you can swing the crane. This, of course, as you can see, he also has a stylized Decepticon logo on that side. Before we continue on, we will show you Hook's original card backer. Right down here is where Hook would have been, and up here would have been the pieces. For Devastator, you turn him around, it's got the barcode and a robot point. He was worth 1 point. We have all the Constructicons there. Nice picture of Hook, which matches the front of the card. Plus it has all of his parts. And it also shows you his attack configuration, which I forgot to do. So I'm going to pause for a second and I'll get that readied. Okay, to do the attack form, you take the Devastator head, make sure it's in the folded down configuration. Put the laser cannon in at the side. Raise the crane arm up out of the way. And then you would attach the head onto this post here on the side so that the cannon rests on the cab. And then you insert the laser gun that Hook carries into that hole right there. And then there you'd have it. Hook's attack mode. And this is how it looks in the Generation 2 mock-up. And back to the card. After showing you how to do that, then it goes into the transformation of Hook and how to put the stickers on. And a reminder to save your robot points and read the tech specs. And we'll get on with that down here. It's done up in purple to show he's a Decepticon. It labels him a Constructicon. And of course the picture is the same as the one on the front. It gives his name as Hook, and it lists his function as Surgical Engineer. So in essence, that kind of makes him a field doctor as well, but mostly for transformers instead of organics. And it's got a quote here, which is probably from Hook. It says, "Strive for perfection even if others must suffer. With the precision of a fine jeweler, performs his jobs with skill unequaled among the Transformers, whether reconnecting a damaged microchip or setting a 2-ton girder into place. Snobbish, supercilious, unpopular perfectionist. Lifts 20 tons. As shoulders and head module combines with fellow Constructicons to form Devastator." And then over here it has his tech spec grid. Normally you'd need a decoder, but I can read it pretty well. It gives his strength as 8, his intelligence is 9, his speed is 4, his endurance is 6, his rank is 4, his courage is 6, his firepower is 5, and his skill is a perfect 10. So he certainly knows how to put a Transformer back together in the heat of battle. Alright, now let's move on and take a look at a modern Hook. And this is the modern Hook from the Studio 86 line. It's done up pretty well to resemble the Generation 1 cartoon appearance of Hook. Because namely, it keeps the crane drive component on the back instead of the front of his legs. But all in all, it does resemble him pretty nicely. Now, if you were buying just Hook by himself, he only has 2 components. I say that only due to the fact that most of the rest of the components are add-ons to Long Haul. So the parts are sort of up to you on it, but you'll have to check out both videos and you can make your own determinations on how you want the parts to be broken out. The first part, the major one, is the crane itself. Hook's crane is removable. In fact, it will come removed on him. But it does function more or less like the G1 toy, but it does not extend out as far. And since it's not in the way when we transform him, we will just put it back on him. And then nextly we have his laser pistol. And it is done up in a style very reminiscent to look like the Generation 1 version. Plus, as an added perk, if you don't want Hook to carry it, there's a hole on the right-hand side of it, and it can be stored on his crane arm. So that's kind of nice. At any rate, let's take a look here at Hook's articulation. You can turn his head from side to side, and it is on a ball joint, so it will look up and down. You can raise his arms up about so far when you move the panels out of the way. And his arms do rotate at the shoulder all the way around, but you'll have to move it out to avoid the crane kibble. His arms bend at the elbow about 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep. So he has G.I. Joe style battle grip. He unfortunately does not twist at the hips due to the way he is designed. So I do not recommend that you try it. You can spread his legs apart into a full splits. His legs do feature a thigh cut. You can raise his leg at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. So all in all, about the type of articulation you would expect just a little bit less due to the bonus feature of being a combiner. Alright, let's get Hook transformed now. And the first thing they're going to have us do is we put his legs together like so. We come here onto his ankles, and they want us to fold up these silver colored pieces. I find it'll be easier to do with the legs still separated due to the fact that you now have a place to get in at. It's more push his feet out and then they will come up. So let's get his legs back together again. So now that we've folded them up, fold the feet down flat on them, as they should connect in a way. And then they basically fold up here against his torso. But we come up here to the upper body, because we got to fold his legs up against him a little bit more, so keep those leg pieces out of the way for a moment until we have him fully folded inwards. And kind of watch underneath to make sure you're getting him in. There we go. Then they can be folded up and they will snap into place like so. Does make him a bit complicated. But at any rate, once we got him in there, we can fold the crane stuff down. Then come down here to his arms and such. Fold up his shoulder pads so they won't be in our way. Then we're going to raise his arms up, but raise it up at the shoulder. Excuse me. And then you can fold his hands somewhat inside and then fold them down, keeping them at the side. There's a post here on his arm and it should line up with a hole along the side of his body. You get that resulting snap as we put him in. Plus there's one just outside of his wrist and it should line up with his feet to help secure him in. Like that. Then we take this crane section that's on his back. This is the difficult part. Pop it up and it should slide back. And there's a series of 4 posts and holes. Since the whole thing moves as one, they should all line up. And then you fold down the flaps. And there you have it. Hook is now in his crane form. You get to raise it up. Unfortunately, the whole unit doesn't turn like on the original, so you only can move the crane arm. Plus, of course, you can attach the gun to it. And that looks pretty wild in unto itself. So now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Hook? Hook, in my mind, has always been a rather interesting character. I mean, granted, I don't agree with perfection all the time, but I still think it makes him a rather interesting character. All in all, the Generation 1 version, it is iconic, although unfortunately it suffers from play wear pretty well. But of course, when you're talking a toy that's 40 years old, it's going to. The G2 will likely also develop similar flaws if it was also as played with. This modern one, I like how it turned out. I mean, yeah, I'm a little disappointed in some of the lack of articulation in certain areas, but we also got to remember we're waiting for the payoff with Devastator. So we'll see how Devastator turns out with it. But all in all, I do like what it's setting up, and I'm hoping the end result will be worth it. At any rate, that's my review of Studio 86 Hook and his Generation 1 and 2 counterparts. I hope you all enjoyed it. And please do remember that if you love the content we feature on this channel, Larry and I would certainly appreciate some likes, shares, comments, and subscriptions. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.